participants that Drishti has launched 4 new courses with 3 variants each, which is Insight, Light, and Advanced Version Education for All. So, there are 4 courses that's there. The course one, which is on crisis intervention and trauma management, which is a comprehensive course which would equip the psychologists, the teachers, to get required knowledge and skills to identify, assess, and provide intervention during crisis situation and any traumatic event, something like a current situation for COVID-19. We have course 2, which is on teaching diverse and inclusive classroom. Again, a comprehensive course that aims to equip you with an optimal knowledge and skills to use framework of differential instructions in your classroom. The course 3 is also available, which is on inclusion and inclusive practices. It's a comprehensive course that aims to equip you with optimal knowledge and skills to make your classroom an inclusive community. And lastly, there is course 4, which is on counseling skill. This course provides with an introduction of some basic and integral counseling skills which are applicable under varied environment and that are must known for everyone working with children. And since we all are here, I would like to inform everyone that we have a special offer going on for next 2 days for the above mentioned Prabhav courses. And the coupon of this will be put up in the chat box. And just a little heads up that we are going to have 2 more courses coming up in the next month, which is going to be on applied behavioral analysis, which is ABA, the foundation course for beginners, and practical application for advanced learner. So do log into Drishti's website. We are there on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also in the chat box. These details will be shared soon. So I would like to welcome our guest for today, Mr. Munir Damani, who is going to be the facilitator for our masterclass. Giving you a little brief about Munir sir, I think it's something that he comes up with 8+ years of experience. He's pursued his post graduation diploma in business administration finance, and he has done his BBA degree in marketing. Apart from that, he's also a certification in global career counseling from University of California, and he's also certified as their super career. He's a results coach and a trained mentor certified from Neuro Leadership Institute of Asia. And lastly, he's a licensed career counselor certified from the Promise Foundation, Bangalore. And he's also participated in IELTS masterclass conducted by British Council. And I think these things will keep going on and on and on. So even I would not waste time. So welcome, Munir sir, for the masterclass. And I hand it over to you. Thank you so much for being there with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to be a part of this masterclass. I think Drishti as an organization is doing a commendable job with all of your inputs and insights. And I think today's workshop is more relevant, like you said, the kind of system, the kind of scenario that we are going through. I got to know a little bit about the statistics of all the participants who are joining us today. So I'll not talk more about the psychology part because I think you all are more experienced and more knowledgeable than me, and I'm not the right person to talk from the perspective of the psychology. But I would definitely like to share with all of you in the next 45 to 50 minutes about how the magic happens. And how this concept of comfort zone and the growth zone can be correlated when we talk about a career journey, we talk about a career explorations. So I would like to share the context today. For the first 40 to 45 minutes, we would talk about how do you actually move from a comfort zone to a growth zone. In the second part, I would also like to share a few things that we as psychologists, or we as counselors, we as students, we as parents, we as teachers can take it ahead from today's masterclass and start preparing a roadmap which would really help us incorporate what we learned today and actually achieve the objective of the magic actually happening in our own life and our students life as far as the career journey is concerned. So I would be sharing a little bit about what exactly is a comfort zone as far as the career is concerned, how do you move to a growth zone, and then in the remaining 15 to 20 minutes we would encourage everyone to ask as many questions as you have, and I'll try my best to answer very succinctly. I'll make sure that I don't become more philosophical, and I don't tend to give generic answer, and I keep it to the point and I answer your question rather than just moving around the question. So quickly moving on, according to me, when we talk about the comfort zone as far as career is concerned, these are the three things that come to my mind over a decade of experience that I've been with students, and I've helped professionals move ahead in their career journey. I think number one is the mediocrity. A lot of times, if we reflect back today, when we talk about a comfort zone, it's more to do with mediocrity. Why? Because we've got some great justifications for our habits. We've got some great justifications in knowing that this is what our limit is. So, in the neuroscience, we say that you need to challenge your brain, you need to challenge and stretch your efforts in order to move from a comfort zone to a growth zone. But if we are very much towards the mediocrity pathway, we will have some great justifications of not doing that. And I'll give you my own example. I used to weigh 130 kgs, and during the lockdown, I had to happen to go through a blood test checkup, and my doctors told me that the weight is too much according to my BMI and everything, and if I don't lose it, then I would be, I would be facing some consequences as my health is concerned. So I was very much in my comfort zone, mediocrity, and I had great justifications to back up my mediocrity that जीना ही है, अभी तो कोविड के कारण क्या करना है, 2 दिन भी जी लेंगे तो बहुत बड़ी बात है, who knows what's going to happen. And I had n number of justifications to give to convince people around me that I am okay. 120 kg is nothing. And suddenly I started realizing that I went into an auto mode living, which was amazing. Okay, I used to wake up, do a little bit of work, then chat about how COVID has destroyed our careers and our lives and everything, go back, eat food, that's it. So I realized something that in our career also, the comfort zone kind of gives us a result of us living into a very auto mode life, and we really like it. Trust me, comfort zone is the best place to be into. Okay, a lot of times as counselors we say that a very simple phrase we use: be very comfortable, make yourself home, because that's what auto mode life is. Because you don't have to think, how do I sit at home, how do I behave at home, how do I behave when I'm at my comfort zone. So what is a comfort zone? In my understanding, as far as the career is concerned, it's very mediocre. When I say mediocre from the perspective of a career, I relate to share that we have accepted what it is. We don't want to move further. We don't want to relearn. We don't want to unlearn. We don't want to upskill. We don't want to read more. We are very happy with what we are doing. If I'm working in an organization as a senior manager, I'm okay to wait another 15 years and see what happens with the organization. Forget about me. I'm happy to see what my organization does. And if there is a scope in the future, I will go ahead and be promoted and live my dream that I've set for myself. And why do I do this? Because I have kind of convinced myself somewhere that I am doing the right thing. And I don't need to kind of move from a comfort zone to any other zone. I'm not even talking or relating this to growth zone, but I just don't want to move ahead. Take, for example, the lockdown situation. Okay. For the first time when lockdown came, we were all uncomfortable. We all thought that somebody has suddenly told us that we cannot live our life the way we want to, in terms of going out, in terms of meeting friends, in terms of meeting families. And then slowly and steadily, we accepted that this is going to be a part of our life. And today, also, if you see, there are many such students and professionals that I meet personally who are great at this lockdown life. Study on mobile phone, live your life in your room, great at what you're doing and they don't want to move ahead and do anything else or be more aware of their lifestyle. So I think comfort zone, more than being lazy, more than being procrastinated, I would put these three parameters as the primary foundations of a comfort zone as far as the career journey is concerned. So then what is a growth zone? A lot of times students come and tell me, then is growth zone hard work? No. I think growth zone is a mindset which we call it as a growth mindset, where I don't give justifications. I don't use by stating or labeling myself that this is what I can do and this is what I cannot do. I start adding simple phrases that, can I try it one more time? Can I try it differently? Have I got all the information that I needed? Do I need to speak to a counselor or a career coach or a psychologist? Do I need to figure out more options for it? So the meritocracy would only happen when there is more and more of a growth mindset that is happening. I always start asking this very basic question to all my participants. And since we are meeting virtually, I'm sure we are not allowed to unmute, but I always ask this question, that have you been to New Zealand, Singapore, any country of the world? Most of the time, I get an answer no. It's a mediocre answer. Anybody who's a meritocratic answer, a mindset person would say, not yet, but there is a possibility that if I work towards it and if I set a goal, I might reach there. So it's all about mindset. Over there, it was all about justifications. Here, when you're talking about the growth zone in the career, you're talking more and more about your mindset. And that is how you reach the excellence, or that is how you become part of the knowledge society and you achieve the meritocracy. And the upskilling, unlearning, and relearning, trust me, are the three most difficult things to do in life. When somebody tells you that you need to redo this in a certain way, it's taken as an insult. If I'm doing this for 10 years and then after this seminar, let's say if Karishma ma'am calls me and say, you know what, Muni sir, the objective was not achieved, we were looking for something else. So she's trying to actually tell me that you need to relearn. You may be using the content which is not relevant today. Now that is where my adaptability skills would come into picture. So if I'm someone who's at the comfort zone, I would not take it. I would say, no, this is what I do. You take it or you leave it. So I'm on my auto mode life. यही presentation मैं 10 साल से कर रहा हूँ. थोड़ा बहुत पैसा आता है. I'm working my way out. It's great. मेरे को मैथ्स नहीं आता है. मुझे मैथ्स लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. कितने लोग हैं जो सक्सेसफुल थे जिन्होंने मैथ्स नहीं लिया? What we forget is the adaptability, that if I go into any career, I at least need to know the basics of it and I need to adapt. And the last skill I'm sharing that and stretching this a little bit is because in today's scenario of COVID pandemic, the last skill is the primary skill that we talk about. The beautiful courses Karishma ma'am was explaining about Drishti is a perfect example of a growth zone. So what, I may have done one course. Do I really need to not do it and just say that I'm done, I'm an expert? No, I need to adapt more. I need to know more about it. So that's where we are talking about upskill, relearning, and at the same time, unlearning. So if I have to move from my comfort zone to a growth zone, I need to first talk about my mindset, not give justifications to everything that I do, taking the feedback or the suggestions that I get very openly and constructively, and that you will be able to do by asking open-ended and right questions. One of the challenges that I've always found in us as individuals is we ask very close-ended questions. I would encourage every one of us to avoid why questions. Ask as many open-ended questions as you can, and you'd be surprised with the brilliance and the talent that each individual is talented or gifted with by the nature. And you would see then with the adaptability, you would be able to achieve the growth mindset. So this question comes to us that if this is so simple, is it necessary or is it possible that I can actually have a growth mindset in my life? And this is the picture that I could talk about. And when I found this picture, I felt that this is the right picture that could depict the growth mindset or adaptability concept in our career journey. When I'm talking about the growth mindset, beautiful picture. Small child doesn't know what is COVID, doesn't know why school is shut, doesn't know why suddenly all the friends are online. Somebody is yelling that you need to keep your video on, mute yourself, but the child has very nicely, very effectively, very efficiently made home and that small tablet as his or her school. So, as humans, we are adaptable. As humans, it is easily possible to move from that comfort zone to our growth zone. And this example kind of justifies the entire concept that do I really need to? Because a lot of times when we do such master classes, I get these questions. Great, you explained, I understood, but do you think I can do it? I think we can all do it. If that child sitting in home doesn't know what is happening, why there is a lockdown, what is a COVID vaccine, how many years will this go on, not sure whether he would be able to meet his or her friends in the future, when still it is adapted and moved from a comfort zone to a growth zone. So that is the picture, I think, that shows that yes, we can move from a comfort zone to a growth zone. Why we don't, this is a very old story. All the students and the aspirants in the field of psychology mostly are aware of this. We call this conditioning or the belief system story. This is an elephant. When the elephant was a baby, the elephant was tied by a rope. The elephant grew giant, and it is just a matter of second. If the elephant would pull one of its leg, the rope will be broken and the elephant is free to go. But the elephant will not do it, because since the childhood, when the elephant was a baby, the elephant has a belief that this rope is tied to me and I can never break this rope. So I think one of the reasons, if today or in the future also, after so many master classes, when we reflect upon and when we start feeling that okay, I've done so much, a lot of students come and tell me that I did 7 online courses, yet I'm not able to get a job. I did 3 more courses in the field of psychology, in the field of commerce, in the field of science, XYZ, but I'm not able to achieve my result. Primarily is because of that belief system. When I had the privilege to do my certification course at the Promise Foundation, one thing that I really liked of the Promise Foundation was that they mentioned an activity of the belief system. And there were very few basic questions that were asked to students that, is it true that if you like it, you have to be good at it? Is it true that only men are supposed to go out and design or craft their career, and women should always give importance to the family first? The career can come later. Is it true that nurse is a profession of only females and not males? Is it true that I have to score really well academically in order to get into institutes like Harvard or IIMs or IITs? Is it true that if I only get into IITs and IIMs, I'm going to be successful? Otherwise, I'm not going to be anywhere in my life? So it's all about the conditioning, it's all about the belief system. So we need to make sure that we understand that we do not have a mindset of an elephant where we are conditioned to believe that we cannot break the rope. We can easily break the rope. And once you break the rope, that's why I had put up the first picture. Once you come out of that small rope of comfort zone, you will see the magic happening. And you will see tangible results in your life. You'll be more happy. You will be more successful in your career. You will be more willing to learn in your career. And you will be more open to these upskilling and relearning concepts that are coming up very prominently in the era of COVID. So how do I use this in my career journey? The first thing that I need to know is know myself. It's a very important concept. Sometimes we have this misunderstanding between the interest and the aptitude. I myself look at a lot of social media videos on different social media platforms where they say you should follow your passion. Some say you should do something that you are interested into. Some say you should do something that you're really good at. Now, the idea is when you talk about knowing yourself, I would suggest we should know 4 things about ourselves. Number one, we should know what we are interested in. Number one, at a very early age, maybe 8th standard, 9th standard, 10th standard, or even 11th standard, we should know what we are interested in. At the same time, we should know that interest can not only be the parameter to choose a career, because interest is going to change. As your environment changes, as your age changes, as your friends change, as your college, you transition from a school to a college to a university to a corporate world, your interest will keep on changing. So it's risky to choose a career based completely on interest. So then what do I need to know second about myself? Aptitude, something that I'm naturally good at. If you saw, or if you heard rather, Karishma ma'am read my bio, and that is a, you know I would say, a concrete example about not knowing yourself. I started my journey in the field of commerce, specializing in marketing and then specializing in finance, and then I really understood that I'm really good naturally at talking to people, helping people, being in the field of counseling, in the field of coaching, training, and mentoring. Had I known that earlier, I would have started my journey long back. Then Karishma ma'am would have said he's been in the industry since more than 12 years or 15 years. So, what I'm trying to suggest is try to figure out and reflect upon yourself and know what is it that you're naturally good at. The third thing that I need to now know is I now know what I'm good at and what are my interests currently, and can I tag them together and see what are the career options which are open to me. So today, a lot of parents approach me and say, my child wants to get into as a YouTuber or a social media influencer. That is one of the careers that we would be talking about. Social media marketing. He is always on the games. Try to figure out what kind of games the child is playing. Are those strategic games? Then I'm talking about a potential of logical reasoning. If the child is solving puzzles or a game which requires a lot of thinking, planning, and then executing those plans. So the third thing that I really need to know is I match up my interest and my ability and see what are the career options which are open to me. And while you're doing the third thing, please make sure that you keep on asking yourself that is it that you are saying yes to the career because it is popular, or is it because you're saying yes to the career because you are genuinely attracted or inclined towards it. I would give you an example, and you all would relate and agree with me. Before 2020, psychology was not one of the careers that students took as a mainstream career. Suddenly COVID happened. People started talking about mental health, depression, knowing a lot of other mental issues, and getting an expert to resolve those mental issues. And today you see the graph that is going up in terms of students aspiring or pursuing psychology. What I'm suggesting is the popularity of the career would change. You need to keep in focus your own interest and your own ability, and then see what is the career that you are trying to choose. And when you're doing that, number one, please check the fourth parameter. Don't always choose a career which is popular, and at the same time keep challenging or asking the beliefs. Is it because of a belief system that you're not taking a particular career? Like, for example, when I completed my 10th, my friends used to tell me I'm a nautanki, I can do melodrama and all. And I always wanted to become an actor. I went to my parents and I said I wanted to become an actor. And my parents said, look at yourself, look at all the actors. Where will you go, Baba? You don't have acting face, you don't have that kind of requirements to become an actor. And I did not pick up that career because that kind of conditioned me. I became an elephant, and that rope kept in there in my mind that I can never become an actor. Then I came into the counseling field of coaching and training and mentoring, and one of the facilitation skills is role play. And through role play, I realized I enjoy so much of acting or doing something on the stage, and being a part of drama. So what I'm suggesting you is make sure that you keep on questioning that, am I being elephant? Am I actually being a victim of my belief system where I'm denying a career just because I believe that does not have a scope? And trust me, the belief system can actually make your career or can become a challenge in your career, because we tend to choose a career based on what the salary is going to be, or if I choose a college or career, is there going to be a scope? Of course, money is important. At the same time, remember, career has a scope by building skills, not by you going to a very reputed college. Trust me, I can still give you examples where individuals have been to the best of colleges, engineers, MBA, and then turned into writers, singers. What happened? They went to the best of the colleges. So it's very important that you keep on questioning your belief system. And once you have that chart ready of your interest and your ability, start building skills. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to talk about this in the last slide also of our class today. When you talk about building skills, one of the greatest advantage we have today of online learning is free courses. There are a lot of free courses that are provided at different platforms today on Udemy, Coursera. Even the institutes are providing free courses. I personally make sure that I attend at least 3 to 4 master classes myself, because if I really want to test my interest, if I really want to test my ability, these free skills would really help me out. That's number one. Because I'm not investing money, I can easily switch and swap from one course to another. Number two, it helps me build skills. There are certain skills which are called as technical skills. Then there are certain skills which are called as soft skills, communication skills, grit skills, emotional intelligence, team leaderships, or team member skills. These are the skills that you really need to learn apart or irrespective of the career that you're choosing. And finally, know the world of work. Very, 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 very important. When people say there is no scope of the career, they are wrong. It is just that the world of work has changed. Let me give you an example. Initially, there used to be writers. The boss used to dictate, or maybe the leaders used to dictate, and the person who used to specialize in writing, they used to write. Then that writing got switched from or changed to typewriter. So people started using typewriter. Then it got changed to the computer. So people started using computer. Then it got changed to the laptop. So people now use laptop. Or nowadays, we also have a smartphone which can be used to keep the notes and write the notes. What has happened? The world of work, the way you work has changed. Career has not changed. Content writing is still a career. I still need someone who can articulate my article in such a way where I'm able to convey my message. So, what I'm suggesting here is don't conclude by stating that because of certain reasons the career is not doing well, maybe the world of work would have changed. At the same time, I would also like to suggest here, because a lot of us are very active on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms, and this video keeps on popping, do something that you're passionate about. If you don't love your work, that means you don't have to do. Understand, in any career, there will be a part of your job which will be monotonous. You have to do that. Even if you are an actor, you have to go to the gym, which is a monotonous job. If you are a psychologist, you have to maintain the data, you have to maintain the notes that you've taken from your clients, and based on that you schedule, or you see the progress of your clients and you schedule your session. So what I'm trying to say here is, when you talk about passion, please be very mindful. You definitely choose a career based on your passion, but at the same time, there will be aspects of your career which we call it as a job, which will be monotonous, and irrespective of the career that you choose, they will be a part of it. So now that I've understood how do I reflect, or how do I resonate my growth mindset, or come to a growth zone in my career, let's look at a few careers in different streams that are open, which have huge scope today and in the future 10 years also. And then we'll also talk about how do you actually summarize everything and then start working on it or start acting upon it, so that you have a career journey plan ready. So let's talk about a few careers that are available in commerce, especially for students who have completed the 10th standard, 12th standard from the National Institute of Open Schooling, or some students who are gifted students, special children. You definitely have many certificate careers in accounting. Now, when I'm talking about accounting, I'm not referring to the traditional or the conventional careers of chartered accounting, or CFA, or management accounting, or financial analyst. I'm talking about certified accounting. I'm talking about knowing Excel, advanced Excel. I'm talking about knowing certain tools and e-commerce platforms or softwares, so that you become a specialist into it. So on LinkedIn, if you put accounting specialist, you would get this career. The pathway is very simple. You go through a BCom degree, and then along with your BCom degree, you do a certification course of a year or 2 years, and then you're a specialist, and based on that certification you would get a job, and from there on you can start climbing the ladder. Same is with the finance. Some students who are really good with numbers, who are really good with logical reasoning, analyzing the data, and then giving a decision or concluding the report, then they can get into the field of finance. Human resources got to do with people. And then, of course, you have general management options also open in the field of commerce. A few other careers that are open in the field of commerce, apart from banking. If you're looking for banking, look for investment banking, look for strategic relations in the banking. These are also some of the careers that are open in the field of commerce. Of course, in humanities, psychology is one of the most booming careers. But along with psychology, in social work, I would like to give you two careers. One is what we call it as developmental studies. It's a beautiful career, beautiful course given by Azim Premji University, Flames University, and there are many other that have come. Another career that has come up is public policy making career. So we see government comes up with a lot of policies. So some people who are really good with history, some people who are very good with writing, and also have a logical reasoning ability, they can of course go with the developmental education and public policy participation course. Literature, if you are really interested in the language, knowing more about the language, then literature is one. And then you have umbrellas coming out of it. You can get into the profession of teaching, or you can become an interpreter, you can become a translator. There are many such careers that would come up from literature. You can also become an author of a book that you write. And of course, history is also one of the careers in humanities that has come up very well. Some students who are special children, who are gifted children, they're very creative, very creative. Art is a beautiful career that has come up. All the participants, I would suggest and encourage, type in the Google residence program in the art. There are many residence program in the art field that happen in Goa, they happen at Kashmir, they happen at different locations in our country as well as around the world. Let's say Dubai, UAE, New Zealand, Spain. Now what happens here is it's a 5-day residence program. All the artists come from different locations, diverse audience, and they present their art, they present their creativity, and from there they learn more about the career of having your own art gallery or being a part of a museum and stuff like that. So some students who are very good at creativity, of course, art is something that is really open to you. Photography, there are some students who are very good at photography. You have different fields of photography: wildlife photography, journalism in photography. There are photojournalists that are there, still photography, film photography. There are many such options that are available. Graphics design, what we see today, beautiful picture that Karishma ma'am presented, very nicely put up, courses of Drishti, information. That's nothing but a graphics design. How do you design a poster? How do you design different graphics? So that is also one of the careers if you're really interested into creativity. At the same time, you have slight inclination towards the computer, animation, interior design. The last two also have come up very well. Footwear design, really interesting career. We also have a National Institute of Footwear Design in India, accredited by the government of India. They provide a course of 3 years where you only learn practical skills of how do you design different footwear. Now, when I'm talking about footwear, go and see the concept of comfort zone to growth zone. Usually, somebody who's at comfort zone would say footwear design means chappal or jute design karna. You would be shocked that footwear design talks about people who have ortho problems, bone problems. What kind of footwear can they wear? People who unfortunately, don't have a leg or only have one leg, what kind of a footwear would you design for them? Senior citizens who cannot stand for long and they have problem with walking, they are dependent on a walker or a stick, what kind of a footwear would you design? So there is a diverse force or diverse career option that is related or that is there in the footwear design, and not only related with how do you design the shoes and footwear. Same is with the textile design. You would be amazed to see now they're coming up with shirts because they see that due to global warming, there's a lot of heat. The temperature is increasing. and because of the heat, it affects your body, it affects your blood pressure. So they've come up with a shirt that no matter what is the temperature, you never feel the heat. Your body maintains the normal temperature. Textile design. Another product that I can tell you of textile design is when we wear shirts or when we wear any kind of a cloth, and then it crumbles. When you wash, you need to iron it. They come up with this clothes which do not crumble. Or in the rainy season, Levi's came up with the jeans. I remember they had this ad: no matter how much you soak in water, it doesn't get wet. Textile design. So think of the creativity, and come to that growth zone and see the options and the possibility when you're talking about the footwear design and the textile design. Media, some people like media. I said if you're really interested into literature, author is one option for you. Journalism, really important. And you don't need to do journalism through the degree of bachelor's in mass media and master's in mass media. I would suggest do a bachelor of vocation, BO course. That would help you learn more practical skills, and then you specialize into one of the fields of journalism and you can get into it. Content writer, copywriter, these are the two most upcoming careers for people who are really interested in writing and proofreading the document or the articles that are written by the different companies or the organization. Performing arts, radio jockey, TV anchor, songwriter, or even become an actor. So these are also some of the careers that are there as far as the performing arts is concerned. If you are a people's person like us, event management, retail management. Trust me, retail management works very well. Today also, if you see, even because even due to pandemic, the retail marketing has come up. Retail marketing is all about retail spaces that you have, and you market products over there through exhibitions and other medias of marketing. Luxury marketing, one of the niche marketing fields where you only market luxury products, which are only there for a certain section of the population because they're very expensive. So luxury marketing. Hospitality and tourism. I know a lot of us will ask question, लॉकडाउन में कौन बाहर जाता है, रेस्टोरेंट भी तो कल ही खुले मुंबई पुणे में, who's going? But I'll give you an example, and I'll share a story after this slide how you can see innovation in hospitality and tourism also. Social work, I've already spoken about. Education. Here I would like to spend a little more time. Apart from teaching, you can get into education leadership. So now the colleges, the schools, the preschools, the play centers, they look for educational leaders who can run the education centers like play centers and colleges and so on. You can become a special educator, children with special needs, gifted children, you can teach them. Early childhood is something that has come up very well. So that is another field of education that you can get into. Phonics, language, these are also other fields that you can explore in the field of education. When you're talking about technology, some people are really interested in technology. Software development, free course on Udemy, learn that and you can get employed with any of the IT company as a software developer. Applications development, if you want to develop an app of an organization, this is another skill-based course of 6 months that you do, and then you can work as a freelance or an independent employee and start working on it. Website development, data analytics. Now for data analytics, there's a myth that you need to know science. Yes, you need to know maths. That's important. But if you know advanced Excel, a little bit of SQL, that is the language of computer, you can get into the field of data analytics. Video editing, very, very important. We make a lot of videos, but we need someone who can edit our videos in such a way, put the graphics, what the information we want. So somebody who's really good at that can get into it. Game designing. I initially gave an example of games. If they're really interested in designing games, coming up with their own games, they can get into the field of game designing as well. And then there are a few offbeat careers. Pet groomer, working very well. A lot of us have pets. We really love them. We are very protective and we want them to have the same care as we have. So we have pet groomers for them. A friend of mine runs a pet vacation place. So he used to work with Tata Consultancy. and he quit his job 5 years back. And I asked him, "What do you do?" So he said, "A lot of people who go for vacations, they need a place where pets can be very safe, and at the same time they enjoy their time. So he has all these activities for pets, an entire day planned for pets, while the owners of the pets are there going out for vacations. So groomer, image consultant. That's another career that is working well. You can also add personal shopper here with image consultant. There are a lot of people who are getting famous overnight. Yesterday somebody told me this young kid, beautiful child, who came up with a song, Bachpan Ka Pyar, something. Somebody told me Bachpan Ka Pyar, and my students were telling me, and he's got gifted a MG Hector, and Badsha is doing a video. He suddenly become famous overnight. So now he needs an image consultant. He needs a personal shopper who can kind of get him or help him maintain that brand or an image. So image consultant, motivational speaker. If you're someone who can motivate people to do something great in their life, motivational speaker. Social media influencer. Trust me, today people are using reels as their primary medium of marketing, and they get these people who are very famous, who get 1 million views, 2 million views. So if you are someone who does that, that can be a full-time career for you. Last one is very important: wealth management expert. I'm talking about asset management expert. Okay, I'm not talking about bank. I'm talking about someone who can manage the wealth of people. So I'm someone who's not in India, and I have a few houses, I have a few shops, and I need someone who can manage this for me. And there's a particular course into this, which is a diploma into wealth management. You can do that course, and you can become a wealth management expert as well. So these are some of the other careers apart from the conventional careers that I've spoken about. And as I was saying, that always these things will come to our mind, that what is the actual scope, when I'm talking about hospitality and tourism and other careers, because of pandemic, these are not working. And I said I'll share a story which talks about innovation. So one of the reels, even I watch reels, and one of the reels that I watched was, there's this young lady who runs a tourism company, but it's very different. It's very innovative. What they do is, I have to send them an email stating that, let's say the next week it's going to be a long weekend, 14th and 15th, both days are going to be a holiday. And I say I'm going out with my family and my budget is 10,000, and I am looking for something within the 50 kilometers of my city, which is Pune. I just have to send this information with my budget. They will customize the entire itinerary for me, where I can go, what I can do, what are the areas I can explore there. Everything will be done by them. Now imagine they've taken the same thing, which an international tool. That's why I said learn globally. They've taken the same thing. If I have to go abroad for my vacation, I'll hire a consultant who would do my bookings, who would give me a tour guide and everything. And they've taken that, they've innovated and put it up as a local business, and it's working very well. So those two things will come together. You need to innovate, and you will be only able to innovate when you learn globally. And that's why I said that you need to do a lot of online courses, you need to do a lot of master classes, so that you'll get that kind of insights. What is it that you can do which is going on globally, and you can innovate in your own business, which is a very local business. And then from there on, you start adapting with the changing world of work, which is the situation that we are into. And I'm sure you would be able to sustain your career no matter what kind of a situation that comes to you. So I think these three parameters are very important. You need to keep on innovating your business. You need to keep on innovating your profession. I'll give you another example. There is this app called as Practo, or there are some other apps, but I'm aware of Practo app, where all I need to do is I need to sign up and I say I'm looking for a dermatologist, and I get a list of doctors, and I have the online consultation charge or fee for them. And same is also in the field of psychology. There's one app that was introduced to me, I'm so sorry I forgot the name, where I just go through the specializations. I need help with my depression, I need help with my anger, or I'm a teenager, I need help with my career counseling and stuff. And I get a list of all the subject matter experts there, and I click on that, and I get a telephonic conversation or a Google Meet conversation, where I can sit anywhere in the country and get the help from the best of experts. So what has happened globally? That was the procedure. Globally, that was the trend that was going on. But today, that has been innovated at a local level, and we have adapted to the changing world of work. So whenever you feel you're getting stuck at your career, you need to ask yourself: Have I innovated enough? Am I learning globally, or am I still applying the same learning that I learned maybe 2 years back, or 6 months back, or a year back? And am I able to adapt with the changing world of work? I'll give you another example. Another friend of mine runs this small shop, and they deal into two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and four-wheeler oils that we put it into bikes and the cars. And they said that every time he used to travel once in 2 weeks to Mumbai to get the order, and pandemic came, things went online, and he adapted to the changing world of work. Now what they do is they learned globally that you need to download WhatsApp or any kind of a chat messaging box. You put up all your details, your quotations, you get all the pictures, you see the pictures, finalize it, pay it online, you get the delivery. So Amazon, which was global, they innovated and they got it in their own business, and that's how they've adapted to the changing world of work, and they're doing their business very well. So what I'm saying is that look at the bigger picture the world is doing, and see from there what is it that you can use and innovate your own business and adapt with the changing world of work. And I'm sure you will be able to sustain in any kind of the career that you are into. So going further, what do I do next? Number one, like I said, know yourself, know your interests today, reflect upon it, no matter what stage or milestone of your life you are at. Know about yourself more. Go on to Google. There'll be a lot of worksheets which will help you define yourself, your values, your skills. Pick up free online courses. Like I said, learn globally. Do as many master classes as you can. Before doing that, ask a question: what will I gain from it? And if you have an answer, join. If you don't have an answer, and if you feel I'll only get a certificate from it, I am sure that certificate would not add value. So keep asking yourself, what are my objectives? Why? Because then at the end of the session, you can ask those questions and then finalize which are the courses that you really liked. You want to try it further, then you go for the courses. Not necessary that you do a BCom, BBA, Bachelor of Arts. Research more about Bachelor of Vocational Study, BVOC. You get a exit at every year. You get an exit at first year, you get an exit at the second year. So first year you exit, you get a diploma. Second year you exit, you get advanced diploma. And third year, if you exit, you get degree. More practical course. Contact your career counselors, contact your career coaches, ask them what kind of a learner are you, and then decide how would you like to pursue a degree. A lot of times what happens is we pick up generalized. So there are a lot of people who have different learning styles. I'm not talking about learning abilities, but I'm talking about learning styles. Know your learning style, and then based on that you can finalize what kind of a college or an institute you want. And to finally learn all the soft skills, you need to do a lot of internships. They can be voluntary work, or maybe associate with an organization and do an internship that will help you learn a lot of soft skills, and then you are prepared to actually act upon your career journey. And I'm sure then you would be successful, and you will always stay in your growth zone and never go back into your comfort zone. With that, I would like to end my session. I hope I've been able to share a few insights, and I've been able to help you introspect within your own journeys at different levels. And maybe with this session would help you reflect upon and act and come out of your comfort zone and enter your growth zone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Munir sir. I think I have made notes about a lot of things. So I'm sure it would have been very helpful for our participants. So participants, we're here for any questions, because I have a lot of questions to ask Munir sir, but I would always would prefer if the participants, if you have any questions, feel free to put it across. And while we are doing that, we also have posted a feedback form link. If you could fill that up, it would be very helpful for us. So sir, by the time these participants would be thinking about the question, I wanted to ask you, what
Mhm.
is your view about learning a foreign language? Because we do see a lot of students coming across and asking that, ma'am, should we learn French? Should we learn Mandarin? So how, what is your view if they on this, and if you could give us a little light about this, and
Right. Absolutely. So learning a language is always an advantage. Number one, you get to know about the culture of different countries or of that particular country, of which you are learning the language. A few things that I would say be mindful is learn a language initially if you have enthusiasm or eagerness to know more about the language. What I generally observe is that if I want to go to Canada, I should learn French. Then I think in that case, what would happen is you would kind of discontinue after learning a particular level. So one, absolutely, you should learn a language. I try to learn different languages, but like I said, there has to be enthusiasm. Number two, once you learn a foreign language, there are a lot of advantages to it, not only career wise, but also in terms of your vocabulary, in terms of knowing that particular culture. Then that adds knowledge. And today we are a global force. So I'll tell you, I work with this college as a master career coach with American Heritage College, which is in Los Angeles. And one of my colleague as a master coach is from Beijing. So I initially learned a little bit about Mandarin, one or two statements. So it really helped me, break the ice. So today we all are a global workforce. So absolutely, you need to, if you're really enthusiastic, you should learn. But I would always say when it comes to choosing a language, start with a free course, Duolingo app. Learn about different languages and then decide which is that one language that really excites you and you would like to learn it further, and then probably take it from there.
Thank you, sir. I think this gave me a little understanding about the foreign language. However, we have got a couple of questions in the chat box. Miss Snehal has asked that after she's completed a BCom, can she choose MBA?
Absolutely. MBA today is open irrespective of the field that you are into. There are many top colleges that provide MBA. I would also say go a step further and research about the new specializations that have come up. Port management has come up, international business has come up, international relations has come up, strategic management has come up, sports management has come up. So many of these diverse specializations that have come up apart from the traditional ones that we keep hearing, HR, marketing, and finance. So if you are someone who wants to specialize into one of the niche specializations, MBA is always open to you for sure.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we have one more. In fact, we have two questions more. Please suggest a growing psychology course in India and USA. And the second question is, where can I learn soft skills? I think this is what we all were looking for. And Munir sir
Right.
has to answer it. Where do we
No.
learn soft skills? Yes, sir.
So one psychology course, I'm so sorry. I would like to apologize. I'm unable to kind of understand the question or the crux of it. So I'm going to break it into two parts, and I'm going to take the liberty to do that. Number one, if you're looking at the institutes, I would again say that research about 4 or 5 parameters. You research an institute about. Number one, subjects. So there are different institutes. They provide different types of subjects to you. Number two, cost. What is the budget that you're looking for? Number three, also look at the location of the college. If I'm comfortable relocating from my city to another city, or which other cities that I'm willing to relocate. And number four, what kind of internships are open to me? Is college having a particular department where I can explore more of internships there? Do I have visiting faculties coming up there? So based on that, I would say you can research about which college is the best suited for you, and then you can take it further. Second one, I would break it that if you're talking about psychology having a scope in India or in the States, I think psychology as a career has a scope not only in India or the States, but globally, worldwide today. Also understand the diversity of psychology career. I think we limit ourselves again into a comfort zone. That psychology has only got to do with counseling. I'll give you an example. Google Pay, when they came up, they had this initial thing that when you today also when you transfer money, I get a scratch card. So I scratch that and I get money, I get a cashback. Now you would be amazed that that is actually designed by a psychologist. That's not Google Pay or Google as a company doing it. That is actually a psychologist doing that. So think of the creative. So what I'm trying to say is that psychology has widened its horizons. You would be surprised that there are psychologists in the corporates today who help employees overcome stress levels and balancing their work life and etc. and etc. So yes, it has a global scope, no doubt in that.
Thank you, sir. And sir, what about the soft skills? Where
Oh
can
right, I'm so
someone
sorry.
learn soft skills?
So there are two ways. I'll say the second part later on because I should not market my organization. Initially, the first part I would say on Udemy, the best part is that you get to learn a lot of courses free. Communication skills, team membership skills, leadership skills, time management, goal setting, and etc. and etc. So you can do those courses free of cost on Udemy. That's number one. Number two, then our organization also does these courses which are online for a period of 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. So you can enroll with us, and then we can also do these courses and help you learn more about it. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. So there's this one more question, that is there any scope after completion of MCOM? So I think what they mean to ask is that, what are the career options? I mean, first, is there a scope after doing your MCOM? If yes, then, what would be, if you could
Right.
suggest a couple of career options?
Right. So it's a very beautiful question that you've asked, and I think it's the need of the hour to understand. So there are two things that we would try to answer this question with. Number one is the general academics. So I'm doing BBA, MBA, MCOM, maybe MA, BA, whatever. This is my generic education. It kind of prepares me holistically for that particular career. Now, along with that, I also need to understand that I need to nurture the 3 years of my bachelor, or in this case, MCOM is for 2 years, with additional skill building courses, which we call it as the certificate courses, that will help me equip myself well once I complete my MCOM to be more employable. All right. So, for example, if I'm talking about MCOM, it's a commerce career. Do I know advanced Excel? Do I know maybe Tally or ERP, enterprise resource planning products or softwares? Do I know all these things? Then probably I am at par to make sure that I add value to my MCOM course. If I'm someone who wants to start teaching after my MCOM, then I figured out a particular subject that I want to teach. And then with that, did I start teaching maybe by taking one or two home tuitions at home and seeing how good I am and what are the areas that I really need to improve upon. So I think along with MCOM, BCOM, BA, MA, always talk and always be mindful about adding skills. Like one of the courses at the beginning when Drishti organization said that they're coming up these courses, that's what I'm talking about. So a BA, MA is your holistic foundation, but you need to then add more value, add more skills to it. So that's what you need to do, and then absolutely it has a lot of value.
Thank you, sir, for answering. So, just one last, question from my end, which I would want to know. If you could suggest few courses online, like how we have Coursera. Okay, if there are any other websites through which we can learn, we can have these online courses. So, if you could suggest that for our participants, I think that's also something that would be very helpful.
So this is the platform that I've found very useful because I have access to do a lot of free courses. Okay. And I encourage everyone who I meet and interact that you should do these, you should use this platform, and it has an array of courses. The second advantage is you learn through a global faculty. Uh, and when I say global faculty, I also mean SME. SME is a technical jargon. The full form would be subject matter expert. So the way Udemy works is Karishma ma'am is a psychologist. She has her own firm and she's made big. And now she wants to share her learnings of being the best psychology. So you create a course around that. So the beauty is that it's not only restricted to the teachers. It's also having those entrepreneurs, those successful people who made it big, and they are teaching and they're sharing that. So that's what is another advantage of using this platform. And the biggest advantage is you get a certificate irrespective. You do a free course, you'll definitely get a certificate. So yeah, that's why.
Right. And so one last question that has been posted that in psychology, is social media detox center a new field? So since you
It's an
posted about the
aspect.
right.
I would say it's an aspect of study. I would not say it's a field of study, because I genuinely believe that the psychologists are well equipped with the counseling skills, and it is very much on the line of counseling. Having said that, social media is a new, kind of learning that has come up towards the psychology professionals. So that would be an area of study, but it would not be something that you specialize into. Like, nobody says that you are a stress management specialist. You're a psychologist, but you've got a certificate in stress management, and you know how to kind of counsel with the relevant techniques. So I would say that it's an area of study, but we'll have to see whether it reaches that part where you have that.
Right. So it's like a specialization that you would do where
Right.
it's under the umbrella, right? Yes. One last question, Miss Sandhya.
Oh, hello, sir. This is Sanya here. I have a
Hi, Sandhya.
question. The thing is, fantastic. I've attended so many things with Drishti, and this is one of the ones really fantastic learning. I think understanding about the different career aspects and really well put across. The question I want to ask you is: see, many people say that we're talking about social media. So, what is your take on LinkedIn? Because from what I've heard, LinkedIn helps you understand from the global perspective of what's happening in careers. So could you give us some light on that? Because many people are unaware about how LinkedIn works. So if you could give us some
Absolutely.
light on that, that would be
Absolutely.
really nice.
Thank you so much, first of all, for the appreciation, and it's a very valid question that you asked. So LinkedIn has this feature called as follow the hashtags and groups. So as a career coach, I follow education field, I follow psychology field, I follow career development, and XYZ. What it really would help me is, number one, I can read across all the articles related to the fields or the groups that I've joined, and that helps me know more about it. Number two, LinkedIn also helps you connect with people from your profession. Now, I would say that let's think a little bit a step further than they just helping us get a job. They also help us understand what are they doing in their current role. So I interact with a lot of career counselors, and I say, hey, can we get on to a conversation of 5 minutes where I can understand what you are doing, and can you help me, as if I'm a student or if I'm an intern, can you help me understand this better? So you get to know more insights to it. That's the second advantage. Third, you get a lot of job recommendations. So if you've prepared your LinkedIn profile well, so if it is well built, if it is well prepared, you get to know what kind of jobs are available. Sorry, so you can apply to those jobs. That is the third advantage. And the fourth and the most important advantage I feel about LinkedIn is you get connected to people who are in the same field, and you get to know a lot what they are doing and where is it that you need to pick up. So there's always this sense of competition with yourself, that am I doing enough? When I was talking about the comfort zone, I said that we have great justification, and when you move to a growth zone, you need to keep on asking yourself, do I need to unlearn, relearn? So the question comes, what do I unlearn? What do I relearn? What do I upskill about? So that really helps you to understand. So yesterday I read about one of my career coaches doing this course from one of the institutes in the UK. And I happened to message him that, can you share information about it? I would really like to see that if that adds value to my profession, I would really like to go ahead and do that. So that really helps. So you get to know a lot that is happening around the world in your field, free of cost. So if you're going to invest around 40-45 minutes a day on LinkedIn, I'm sure that you would get pool of knowledge, and then you can build on it.
Thank you so much. And sir, can we get your contact number? We want to get in touch with you or an email or something.
Absolutely. Sure. Karishma ma'am, am I allowed to share that in the
I
chat
will.
box?
We will post it out with them, sir. We'll share
Okay,
it out.
sure.
Okay.
No problems.
All
Yeah.
right.
No
All
problems.
right. So thank you, everyone. I think thank you, Munish sir, for the wonderful session. And I think
Awesome.
what I'm going to take away to tell my student is to ask, what will I gain from it? Like, before I go ahead by choosing up any career option or courses.
Um,
And I think that's something very important. Thank you, sir, so much for giving us ideas about the career options and, about various fields that we could take in. And lastly, thank you so much, participants, for being with us. And we're really looking forward for you all to participate and be there with us for our courses, or any of these help required. Please feel free to get in touch with us. Thank you so much, everyone. Munisa, thank you once again, sir.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much. Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.